So Vayinhag et Tatzon, and he drove the flock achar hamidbar. So achar is going to be a preposition. It can mean after. It can mean behind. Okay, and you'll notice, how the ESV, he led his flock to the west side. So behind the wilderness is translated to the west side of the wilderness. So, if you wanted to look that up in the dictionary, like why do they do that? We'll just look it up here. Put the dictionary up. And so this is the verbal entry for, there we go, later following. One of the nice things you can do here. There we go, achar. And so you can see here's the entry for it. Is that, you know what, I got to make myself disappear so that, let's just get rid of the chat and the video for a minute so you can see the whole screen. Okay. And so, you see that it actually means buttocks too. So, but anyways, yeah, so it can mean behind, away from following, after, as I said before, we have the form achare, which means behind, and so on and so forth. So, as you scroll through, you see that there are just multiple meanings here, but it's contextually what it means there. And I don't, I'm sure in here, I'm just trying to read this quickly. NRSV, Jenk said, goes with beyond the wilderness, which is reasonable. Yep. So with, prepositions, like in any language, if you've studied Spanish, Jenk's actually our Spanish expert on the channel. The word por, for instance, P-O-R or P-O-R in Spanish. Yeah. Here you go. Yeah. Behind means to the west of. There you go. And so west of it. Okay. Yep. There you go. So you can see that that's an attested meaning there. But, all right, so you get the idea. But yeah, and in Spanish, the word por can mean, for, because, it means a whole bunch of things. It all depends on the context. Okay, let's see how we doing here. Let me just go over here. Hey, we're up to 6 likes already. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, so let's scroll up. So Vayinhag et Hatzon, so he drove the flock, achar hamidbar, behind the wilderness, on the west side of the wilderness. Let me just pause for a second. Thanks for the comment. How do you become a Patreon member? So if you go, you know what I'll do? I'll put bear with me one second. I'll put the link in the chat so you can check out my channel and see if it's for you. Patreon.com, and of course, yeah, there we go. And all right, we got it. I think this is the correct link. Check it out. See if that works. I'll pin this so others get to see it as well. All right, cool. So Vayinhag et Hatzon achar midbar vayavo. This is also a consecutive preterite. We see the vav meaning and, but it's part of, this is how we signal a past tense verb here. We'll deal with that in more detail later on. So, vayavo, el, preposition, meaning to. Har ha-Elohim. Har is a noun meaning hill or mountain. Ha-Elohim, the gods, literally, the mountain of the gods. But from context, we would translate it as the mountain of God. Where's the word of? It's implied because we've got 2 nouns next to each other. Where's the word the to the mountain of God? We insert the word the because har is joined to another noun. Okay, and what is the mountain of God? Choreva, which means to Horeb, All right, good. We made it through a verse. All right, Exodus 3:2. So Vayera. Hang on one second. I thought names can't tolerate a definite article in biblical Hebrew. Elohim is actually not a noun proper. Okay, and so it's really God's title. Remember, in Hebrew, Elohim is a title for the God of Israel. It is not God's name. And so it literally means the gods or the God, okay, in the plural. Here, Ha Elohim, which is, think of it as, a royal plural, you might say. So, yeah, like God's name, which is often considered to be pronounced Yahweh, that is that does not get the definite article because it is a proper noun. Okay. Good question. And so here we go. So Vayera, and he appeared. This word Vayera is a verb meaning and he appeared. It has the vav at the beginning. And who appeared? We have two nouns together, malach, which means angel or messenger, and yud he vav he, Adonai. So the angel of the Lord, the angel of Yahweh. Okay. So the angel of Yahweh appeared. Notice that the verb precedes the subject, and so that means we're continuing or we're advancing the narrative forward. All right, okay, so Exodus 3:2. Vayera malach Adonai, and the angel of the Lord, or the messenger of the Lord, if you will, appeared elav, to him. Yeah, he did. He cited himself. He didn't even know he was reading his own article. So, bilabat esh, in. Now, we've seen the preposition ba, and we dealt with that in our Arabic Hebrew course as well. That because ba means the essentially the same thing in Arabic as well. In labat esh, a flame of fire. Labat, flame of, esh, fire. Okay. If you want to say there is fire in Hebrew, let's see if Jen can figure that out. There is fire. You know the word for there is. We'll see if he can come up with that. All right. So he appeared in a flame of fire. Mitoch. This is a compound preposition. From the midst of. Mitoch. From the midst of. Ha sne. The bush. From the midst of the bush. Okay. And then we get vayare. And now this looks kind of like vayera, which means and he saw. And he appeared. Vayara means then he saw. Jank, you got it. Yesh, yesh. That's right. Vayara. Vihine, and behold. And behold. That's a good vocab word for you to memorize. And behold, hasne, the bush, boer. Okay, boer is a participle. You notice that O-E vowel pattern that we saw with roe above? Roe, shepherding. Boer, burning. And behold, the bush was burning. Now, is it in the past tense? No, not technically. It's just a participle. We understand it as past tense because of the context. And behold, the bush was burning, ba-esh, with fire. Notice that here, ba means in, here it means with. Prepositions are like that. The bush was burning with fire. V'hasne, while the bush, now v means and, right? V'hasne, enenu. Now, Jank, you know the word ein means there is not. Here, enenu is going to mean it was not being consumed, or and the bush was not consumed. It was not being eaten. Okay. Vayomer, another vocab word. And he said, this occurs all over the place in the Hebrew scriptures. Vayomer, and he said, who said? Moshe. Vayomer Moshe. And Moses said, Asurana, let me turn aside, the ere, so that, and you say, wait a second, it's v, right? Doesn't v mean and? Yeah, it does, but it also means so that, depending on the context. So that I may see et. What does et indicate? It's a definite, direct object marker. A definite, direct object marker. Vere et hamare, the sight. Notice that the word I may see is from the root resh aleph he, or technically resh aleph yud, but that's for another time. And notice that the word for sight comes from the same root. Ve'arei et hamare, that I may see the sight. What sight? Ha-gadol. Oh, we learned this in our previous class, which means the big. The sight, the big. That's how you say the big sight, or the great sight, we would say here. Ha-ze, the this. So the way we would read that literally would be, so that I may see